Well, here we go again. As you all know, on April 3, 2024, the county entered a contract with the now-retired Gleason. Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher stated, due to changeovers with staff, Gleason was unable to teach her staff how to do her job, something a good department head should have been doing since day one. All the commissioners agreed that $1,800 a month was a good idea for the county. In a letter sent to BSB, it stated that they did not follow the law. Under MCA 2-2-201, public officers, employees, and former employees not to have interest in contracts. 1. Members of the legislature, state, county, city, town, or township officers, or any deputies or employees of an enumerated governmental entity may not be interested in any contract made by them in their official capacity or by any body, agency, or board of which they are members or employees if they are directly involved with the contract. A former employee may not, within 6 months following the termination of employment, contract or be employed by an employer who contracts with the state or any of its subdivisions involving matters with which the former employee was directly involved during employment. Simply stated, they fucked up. When the Real Butte News reached out to the interim city attorney Kelly Fivey for comment, they did not respond. But a look at the agenda for Wednesday, May 15, 2024 has this to say. Dated May 7, 2024, Dear Council Commissioners, I'm writing you to bring to your attention an important matter regarding the Professional Service Agreement Communication 2024-166 with Gleason Accounting and Financial Reporting Services. This agreement has been reviewed by former County Attorney Eileen Joyce, and she did not have any concerns with the form of the contract itself between Butte Silver Bow and Gleason Accounting and Financial Reporting Services. The service agreement was approved on April 3, 2024. However, concerns were raised in a recent letter to Butte Silver Bow about the agreement in consulting with current County Attorney Kelly Fivey, and we determined that an independent analysis by Cindy Walker and Elliott McGill from Boone and Carlberg Law Firm would be in the best interest of the local government. The independent analysis from Cindy Walker and Elliott McGill uncovered new information or considerations. This analysis revealed potential legal and compliance issues that could arise from the agreement. Their recommendation determined that terminating the contract between BSB and Gleason Accounting and Financial Reporting Services would be the best course of action. By terminating the contract, BSB can mitigate any potential risk and ensure that it is in full compliance with the relevant law and regulations. This decision demonstrates a commitment to upholding transparency, accountability, and adherence to proper procedure after careful research and consideration conducted by Cindy Walker and Elliott McGill from Boone and Carlberg. We strongly recommend rescinding this agreement. Cindy and Elliott's research has revealed that according to MCA 22-201-1, a former employee is prohibited from contracting or being employed by an employer who has contractual dealings with the state or any of its subdivisions specifically involving matters with which the former employee was directly involved during their employment. In the case of Gleason, the agreement in question involves matters in which she was directly involved during her tenure with Butte Silver Bow. With this agreement, that's consulting business entered a contract with a subdivision of the state, namely BSB, concerning matters directly associated with her previous employment. This situation raises concerns regarding compliance with BSB's ordinances pertaining to contracts with employees. With the recommendations from outside counsel, the safest course of action for BSB is to void the current agreement. This approach ensures compliance with the statute and eliminates any ambiguity regarding the legal or voidability of the agreement. Respectfully, J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive of Butte Silver Bow. This is just part of the lack of transparency and incompetence within Butte Silver Bow government that we get to look forward to if we don't elect competent people into our city government.
The state of Montana, and it's evident by the number of people that have reached out that are trying to get her to go to work for them. The Montana League of Cities, Towns, MACO, local agencies here, $150 an hour on that seems like a lot, but I went out and looked to see what the market value is for that. As you said, you have no problem with that. That's kind of a midpoint of some of what people have on contracts out there. I just kind of want to, the thing that I've had some questions about, why do we need, she just retired, why do we need that? Don't we have the skill set in-house? And it's not that the skill set wasn't in-house, but there was a lot of transition within finance and budget, and I asked for, our experience that we've had in there. we've had, since Rick Soto left, we've had 5 different people in and out of the payroll department. We've had multiple people that have been out. We have 3 positions really currently open in there. And so what happened when Danette decided to retire, and she had the right to do that. I'd like to strong arm her and keep her here, but we couldn't do that. But um, she wasn't able to put the training into her staff that we needed to have. Karen is very capable of doing the job, but some of the things that Danette does that I don't think a lot of people recognize is the investments that she does. She oversees the investments, and just kind of speaking to a little bit to that, because I think the public needs to know that in fiscal year 2023, interest earnings were $4.874 million that was earned because of her overseeing the investments of that. Fiscal year 2024 so far, up through February 29th, we've accrued $4.4 million in interest based on the oversight of those. So just in those 2 years, we have almost $9 million, well, more than $9 million that was interest accrued by her overseeing those investment options. I also want to go back, and this is where we're kind of looking to use the funding for to help with this, is the local allocation tribal funds, which is that PILT funding. When we realized that our city county government wasn't getting that allocation, it was brought to our attention by Danette that brought in $1.1 million to us that we otherwise, and other communities, because of her due diligence, wouldn't have got, Anaconda Deer Lodge being one, but across the country, because we caught that. And so, we have some, I know there's questions about this, but the skill that she brings to that position, and what we will have to pay for her to oversee that, I think we'll get the benefit, the cost versus the benefit. I think it's worth it for that. So that's why I brought it forward to this commission. And I appreciate you bringing some of those questions forward as well. Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I want to throw a few things out there myself. Is the fact that I think, if anything, Danette will probably be running by the time she gets 2 years in, but she's a diamond in the rough, and she knows what she's doing. As a consultant, I think, we brought up the $150 an hour, but the way the contract reads to me is that Butte Super Bowl is hiring her as a consultant. I was a consultant in a different industry for 3 or 4 years, and basically $150 is a pretty good deal, because what you have to you have to carry general liability policy insurance. You have to carry any place you go on a site, you have to have covered with insurance there, and the costing of insurance. It's just a money-eating deal and all that. So out of the $150, I think that she's a very important find, or asset, rather than find, we already found her, is the fact that you really have to look at the whole scenario, and probably if she was making half of that, it'd be a good deal. But knowing her, it'll be pretty close, I don't know if she's going to be covered by, obviously she's not an employee anymore of Butte Silver Bowl, so she probably won't have benefits. Hopefully her husband has medical benefits and all that stuff. So the number sounds pretty outrageous, but when you get down to counting pennies, which she's really good at, it isn't what it sounds like. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. Commissioner Frederickson, and then Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I don't have any, I just want to say that I don't really have any problems with anything in this contract. I've reviewed it quite a few different times, and I think that, the 120 hours per month, I can't imagine that she's going to be billing 120 max each month. So, during budget times and times when she's needed. So I just want to point that out, that, and it's, the monthly invoices are sent to council and will be on the Budget and Finance Committee, so we can always look at it to see how much time she's billing. And so we're going to be able to look at this, and I think it's going to be pretty transparent.
Thank you, Commissioner Frederickson. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Definitely a great conversation to have. And, as we just ended the budget and finance this evening and speaking with Karen, and it had nothing to do with this, but the fact that how many people they've been down in so many years, and not repeating what Chief Executive said, but they've been down bodies for quite some time. So definitely the expertise is there, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to have, being that Danette would come back as a consultant, and thank God we're not hiring somebody else, that doesn't have a clue how this works. So, I again, I think it's a good opportunity, and especially for the new people that I'm pretty sure we'll have to hire somebody at some point, and with that knowledge being passed down, it's a pretty good deal. So, appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Shea, and then Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So number one, I do believe that it is in the best interest of the public to retain Danette as a consultant. She's a lot of things, but she isn't a magician and can't create more time. So I think that this arrangement will allow her more time to develop her staff and continue on with the succession plan, or her former staff. So I do think this is in the best interest of the public. I think it's a bargain, honestly, for what we get with her. My question is, are we using vacancy savings to fund this, or what does it do to the timeline for filling a formal director position, then filling down the line if we have subsequent openings?
Thanks for the question, Commissioner Shea. So there is some vacancy savings in that. There's also the redefining the position that we're looking at for the director's position. I feel very strongly that we have a strong person to be put into the interim director. I'm giving her time to see if that position fits her as well, based on what the commitment is on there as well in this position. As I said, there is the funding that we have available from the local allocation tribal funds that is there. I'd look to use some of that funding to pay for this rather than take it directly from the general fund itself. I think we can support that. We're going to need to fill positions in finance and budget department, and as we know that we're going to be down another position in there because one of our people in the finance and budget department is running for office, and he's unopposed. So unless he drops out, he's going to be moving out of the finance and budget department as well. So we got to be making some preparations with that, and so I'm going to work together with interim director Hassler on what that's going to be, and we'll come forward with how we're going to fill those positions and how we're going to fund them. Commissioner Sorge, I should have called you right away.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'm just going to be short and sweet. Ms. Gleason I've worked with her, God, for so many years, and Danette is very, very conscientious of the taxpayer dollars over the years. She's took on some real controversial issues to make sure that it was beats over bow that came out on top. So, I believe, that I think we're very fortunate that Danette would still even want to stay as a consultant. And I know when it's time for this contract to terminate, I believe it would probably be Danette that would terminate it because, like I said, she's very conscientious on that taxpayer dollar. So I think it's still a good thing for right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorge. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I agree with everything said. I admire her work. I've worked with her since I've been on this commission. I've served on the Budget Finance Committee every year I've been on this. All I'm stating is that 2 annual terms of automatic renewal, that bothers me. That's the only I'm saying, and it does say, option, things like that, but we went through one of these not long ago where the options weren't as open as they say they are. And I think she's probably going to not go 2 years either, but, we're signed up right now for 20 months. That's all I'm saying. So, I agree with everybody's going to say, so there's no need making a motion. But in my opinion, we would be wise to eliminate out of Section 2 the option that says 2 annual terms of automatic renewal. If that sentence come out of there, I think we can answer to our taxpayers a lot better. Because I don't know how many of you guys heard about this, but I've had a lot of calls already that people that knew about this. And I talked to Nanette thoroughly in the last few months. I mean, I might have been one of the earlier ones she contacted. And I agreed I'd go along with all this, and everything sounds good. The 150's more than reasonable. It's a cheap, it's a good buy. I mean, I think I know good buy when I see it. It's a good buy. Her time, her effort's a good buy. But 2 annual terms in an election cycle is different. You know, I can be sitting there because I'm unopposed, but you know, any of you people that got opposition, you might not be able to make that decision. You know, in a year or two. So I think it's a little early to bite into something for 3 years when we might not be the decision makers in 3 years. You know, that's all I'm saying. So I would let someone else concur and place it on file because I will not vote against it, but I just don't feel comfortable without that term being. If I made a motion to eliminate that term, I feel I'd be voted down. So it's kind of like when you go to court and read no content, no. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. And I totally agree with what you're saying, Commissioner Fisher. I just, my voice to the community and my constituents is this. This is a good deal one of the most important things that we have to deal with in this county is the budget and finance. It all comes down to dollars and cents. And so in any comparison of any, like if we can't compare it to the Kelly warehouse, this one's a way better deal than that one. So that's what I'm saying to the public is, hey, I feel like, hey, of all the deals we made, this one feels like a pretty good one. So that's my opinion, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I really have no problem making a motion to concur and place this on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file. Did you have anything else, Commissioner Sarge? Is there any other comment? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes.